The USS Panay was one of several American gunboats to operate on the Yangtze River. Their mission was to protect American interests along the river, including the Standard Oil tankers that cruised from Shanghai to Nanking and beyond. In December of 1937, the Japanese Imperial Army began a major offensive towards Nanking. As they closed in, the USS Panay was dispatched to monitor the situation and evacuate the few Americans left in the city, members of the embassy staff and journalists. As the Japanese moved towards the city, the Panay's situation became dangerous. As it proceeded upriver, the Panay escorted several Standard Oil tankers. The next day, Sunday, December 12th, Panay seemed to be out of danger. The ships dropped anchor, and the crew had lunch. Then suddenly, the sound of planes could be heard. Panay was under attack.
The amazed and relatively defenseless crew and passengers behold and hear a shot heard round the world. The Panay is bombed. Japanese airmen cast missiles of death and destruction again and again. From the skies they descend, and into the heavens they go, only to descend again and increase the intensity of the fury of their destruction. Helpless people, unprepared, unwarned, flee the mercy ship. A few take refuge from Japan's guns in lifeboats. Others swim to the desolate shores of the Yangtze. The shot heard round the world, unannounced, carries its fatal message of death. The deed swiftly executed with equal swiftness brings its terrible toll. Japanese planes go into power dives. Bombs strike, leaving devastation and wreckage. The planes attacked in relays of 2 and 3 each. To add to the din of the bursting bombs, the riddle of machine guns rends the air as a Japanese launch pelts the survivors' lifeboats.
As the American naval ship Panay slowly sinks in the muddy waters of the Yangtze, its 72 amazed refugees hide on the shores of the river to escape further missiles of death from Japan's airmen still patrolling the skies. Wounded attend wounded. Heroes in agony become greater heroes to those who are beyond help. The Panay is badly hurt. Bombs have rent her seams and torn her superstructure. The maimed and wounded survivors find refuge in the tall reeds of the mainland. Slowly but surely, the yellow waters of the Yangtze fill the hull of the once proud craft. Slowly the Panay meets its inevitable fate. The United States gunboat lists heavily and sinks with colors flying. The tragic message is whirled over the Pacific to the nation's capital. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, deeply shocked and concerned, directs United States Secretary of State Cordell Hull to demand facts immediately from Japan's ambassador. Ambassador Saito replies,
I have today called upon the Secretary of State, Mr. Cordell Hull, to express the Japanese regret. The Japanese government and people wish to express their profoundest regret to the American government and people on account of this deplorable incident.
A funeral convoy of British and American ships awaits the heroic dead. Scars torn by bursting shells tell the story of the force of Japanese fire. The Panay survivors and those who died finally reached the USS Augusta, flagship of the American fleet in Asiatic waters.
All peace-loving people throughout the world are hopeful that never again will an incident similar to the bombing of the Panay occur in Asiatic waters or any other place.
戦争の戦場で向かい合った時に両方が嫌な顔しておってたのを3人見ちゃったからね。そうだから本当の相手の歪んだ苦しそうな顔、恨めしそうな顔、それからこうもだえて落ちていく、これが本当に今でも思い出してね、だから私は戦争の最前線には勝ち負けはないんだなと。落ちた人は負けたように見えるし、落とした人は勝ったように見えるけども同じなんだと。この嫌な思いを一生今度愛して背負っていかなきゃ。
The Japanese military mobilized available resources and started marching toward the capital city of Nanking. The Japanese military courageously fought their way through fierce battlefields, and preparations for an all-out attack on Nanking were completed. In accordance with the spirit of Bushido, our army notified the enemy to surrender. However, no answer was given. Instead, the Chinese military replied to us with gunshots. Finally, an order to launch an all-out attack on Nanking was issued. A task force from the Wakisaka unit succeeded in blowing up the Gwanghwamun gate standing before Nanking. Wakisaka unit troops were the first ones to enter the city and proudly put up the flag of the rising sun. The northwest gate to the city, called Yijiang Gate, is known as a place where the greatest tragicomedy took place when the enemy troops retreated. Encircled and attacked by the Japanese troops, the Chinese soldiers were desperately trying to find their way out. They had no choice but to flee to Shakwang from Yijiang Gate. Disoriented, the Chinese soldiers had no other option but to get away from the city walls, because the gate was shut by their fellow soldiers. They made makeshift ropes by tying various things like these to climb down the walls and make a run for their lives. The Chinese soldiers desperately climbed down the walls, took off their military uniforms, and dressed in civilian clothes before running away. With the enemy forces charging from behind and their escape route blocked, with piles of sandbags from inside the gate, the Chinese soldiers lost their way for retreat. It was a losing battle for them in a very miserable manner.